Hello, my name is Joshua. I'm welcome to living on Deep Bridge channel. It was the month of April, so we're going to look at the movies and TV shows that I watched in April. First I finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender Book 2. I found this to be much more mature than Book 1. I feel like the animation is improved as well, especially in the action scenes. It's just phenomenal, and I was much more engaged with the plot of this season. Even like the filler episodes I found more engaging than season 1's filler episodes. Saying that, I don't think it veered into as many side quests as it did in Book 1. It stayed very on the main plot of the story. I just get bored with a lot of filler episodes. I like Toph, who was introduced in like the middle of the season as well. I think she adds some good humour, and I think she was a good added personality to the trio. I also like how Anger's matured much more in this season, and he's not as annoying as I found him in Book 1, to be honest. I found him a bit annoying in Book 1, not gonna lie. Also, the show is really funny. I just found the jokes in the show to be really good, and they just get better in Book 3. So overall, I give this season a 9 out of 10. And then I watched American Psycho. I got this film on 4K and I really wanted to watch this film. There's memes everywhere of Patrick Bateman and everything. I think Christian Bale does a phenomenal performance. It's just great seeing like his facial routine. It just adds to the humour of this film, which I like. This film has a really interesting sense of humour. It has a very dark sense of humour a lot of the time. This film just has a really creepy atmosphere as well. Whenever Patrick Bateman's on his own or on his own with a woman, it gets really tense. You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know his next move. It also leaves a lot to the imagination when it comes to the gore and that. So when like massive things are revealed, like that woman's head in the fridge, like it's much more of a shock. I really love the soundtrack to this film as well. The use of 80s music. Patrick's knowledge of 80s music, like Genesis and Whitney Houston and all that. It's really funny. Overall, it's just really well paced. It comes to a great conclusion where you don't know what's going to happen next, where you're uncertain what is happening. So overall, I give this film probably a 10 out of 10, you know. And then I watched the documentary Supersonic. I saw this on Netflix. It looked really interesting. If you see my top 10 artists I like other than Queen video, you know that I am pretty decent fan of Oasis, I would say. So I went and gave this a watch, and it's pretty good. I found it really interesting seeing Liam and Noel's backstories because I didn't know anything about their backstories before this. I like how the documentary is presented with like disembodied voices of Noel and Liam, and it's playing on top of the footage. Yeah, I think that's a good way to keep the pace up. I really just wish that there would have been like more footage recorded backstage in that, because I just love to see like a recording of Noel and Liam like fighting. But it was still a really interesting documentary, seeing how they rose to fame. I enjoyed it for the most part. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. And then I watched Be Kind Rewind. This was made by the same director as Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which, as you may have seen in last month's video, might just be my favourite film of all time. So this really interested me. But it also had Jack Black in it. It also had Mos Def in it as well. And Danny Glover. A pretty stacked cast. I went into it thinking it was going to be really good. I had high expectations and it didn't really meet them, to be honest. This film just feels like really outlandish and unrealistic at moments, and some bits just feel really out of place. It just feels messy at points. I mean, Eternal Sunshine was outlandish and unrealistic at points, but it was grounded in reality for the most part. This film it's just really weird. Like, Jack Black gets like electrocuted and then he gets like magnetizing powers and he erases all of the VHS's. It's just really weird. It's like brushed off as well. There's a scene where he goes to the doctors and they just give him medication and they don't really question what's going on with him. Also, the director, Michael Gondry, he just doesn't get as creative with the visuals as I'd like him to. I just found the visuals in Eternal Sunshine to be much more interesting. I just thought the acting wasn't that good as well from some actors. The chemistry doesn't work with some of them. I do like the almost childish concept of like recreating films for other people. It does have a nice conclusion. I just found it to be a massive step down from Eternal Sunshine. I'm sorry. I think I'm going to give this film a 6. Then I watched Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I watched the first film back in like start of 2020, I'm pretty sure, and I thought it was decent. I thought it was pretty good. I like Ben Schwartz as Sonic, but it was just a weird road trip movie for me, kind of. I'm not really the biggest Sonic fan as well. I remember playing like Sonic Colors on the DS, and I recently bought Sonic Mania for the Xbox, but it got a bit hard for me and I just like gave up. Yeah, anyway, but I went to watch this film in the cinemas and this was a massive improvement over the first, I think. We get to see much more of Sonic and his adventures. I really like Knuckles and Tails, really great additions. Obviously Jim Carrey, I just love him as Robotnik. It's just the highlight of the film for me because I'm a big Jim Carrey fan. His performance is just so over the top and amazing. I do think the pacing got a little bit messed up around the middle bit of the film where it started focusing on the wedding. It was fun to see, but it did mess up the pacing. It did focus on the human characters a bit too much for my liking, and it did kind of take away from Sonic. It came to a pretty good conclusion. The mid-credit scene was intriguing, and I'll definitely be there for the third film. I give this film an 8.5. And then I finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender Book 3. I just became really invested in these characters at this point. I enjoyed every episode of this season, and I just think it came to a perfect conclusion. I just want to talk about how good the last 4 episodes are. The score is phenomenal. It just really takes center stage and you really notice how good it is. The animation is just at its best. So phenomenal to look at. I love the blend of 2D and 3D as well in some bits. I've been doing it since the start, but I think it got really good in this season. Phenomenal season of television. I just love everything about this season. I give it a 10. And then I started a show that I've been wanting to watch for a very long time, but I just kept stopping myself because I felt like the show was too long. I just ended up giving in and I was like, I have to watch this show. Breaking Bad. So first let's talk about season 1. I just think this is a perfect season of television. Every character in this show is just so well written. I like how unique the cinematography looks as well. Very unique in shots, very precise, and the score and soundtrack just complements this show so well. It's just iconic season of television. 10 out of 10. Then we get to season 2. I like the new characters introduced like Saul and Gus. All of the characters in this show are just so amazing, and the stakes become much more higher in this season as well. I like how Walter and Jesse's relationship isn't like friends really, yet you kind of see it breaking apart in this season, which I like. So good. I think I'd also give this season a 10 out of 10. Then we go on to Breaking Bad season 3. The stakes are just really high in this season. Everything's so intense. Just the cliffhangers, everything in every episode of this season is just so great. I do think there's a little bit of filler in this season though, I'm not gonna lie. I do think the Fly episode got a little bit boring at times. It does drag a bit. It does feel out of place to the rest of the season, but it is still phenomenal. I give it a 9.5. And then the last thing that I watched this month was Breaking Bad season 4. I think for the first half of this season, it does start off a bit slow, but the second half is absolutely phenomenal, and it made me appreciate the first half more because it was building up to something. I like how it humanizes Gus a little bit more as well, especially when Gus drinks the poison and Jesse and Mike are like helping him and that. I just like how it humanized him so much before obviously Walt ends up killing him. I want to talk about the cliffhangers as well. They are so good. It just makes me want to watch the next episode straight away. I'm so glad that I started watching this show because it's so good. It's probably becoming one of my favourite pieces of media ever. Yeah. 10 out of 10 for this season as well. So those are all of the films and TV shows that I've been watching in the month of April. A lot of TV shows because I'm behind on TV shows. I'm currently watching Breaking Bad season 5, obviously, the final season. I'm on episode 1 so far, but I just love the direction the show is going in, and I'm just so excited to see how it concludes. And I'm also watching Moon Knight. I've only got 1 episode left, the finale. I feel like this show is just getting better and better. I like how weird it's starting to get as well, with Mark and Steven stuck in this weird hospital thing, not knowing what's real and what's in their mind. It's just really great. I said when this show started that I think it could be the best MCU show so far, and I do still think that. I'm just really excited for the finale. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you don't, please dislike, and I will see you on the next video.